Since time immemorial, we've been taught to see all things separately. Religions, the paranormal, the UAP phenomenon, the spiritual aspect, the cultures, the occult knowledge. By doing this, we are unable to connect the dots and see reality as it is. Each of these seemingly distinct categories has set narrative by its leaders, and one is not allowed to break those narratives or attempt to connect the pieces to finally realize what's happening around us and where we truly belong. Those who want to break the narrative and try to put the pieces together will certainly be rejected and labeled as a person who has lost their mind in today's modern world. This is a system carefully crafted by the gatekeepers, and it's what separates them from the majority. Today their system is on autopilot, and we are all part of that without even realizing, and they are benefiting the most. I came to this conclusion by exploring my interest in the UFO-UAP phenomenon. I started with the set narrative that they are extraterrestrials and have nothing to do with religions, ancient wisdom, and the occult. In fact, the accepted narrative is that people in the past didn't know any better and they thought the aliens were the gods. But what if a certain group of people knew much more about the ultimate reality, and their knowledge can be found hidden in the ancient religions and the occult? What if that knowledge was seized by certain people, or those individuals were influenced by some entities to conceal the knowledge for personal materialistic gain? I've mentioned in my previous videos and texts the examples of Prometheus being punished by Zeus for sharing the secret knowledge that would make humans equal to the gods, and the destruction of the Tower of Babel by the gods to prevent humans from ascending to their level. In the ancient world, religions revolved around self-spirituality, and kings were believed to become gods. In other words, death was not the end, as the soul could ascend to higher realms or be reborn again. This can be clearly understood through the symbolism and interconnectedness in ancient religions, a theme that I have already explored deeply in my posts and videos. Certainly I will create more content about this in the future. As we examine the interconnections between humans and higher powers in the ancient world, we can notice similarities with modern UAP encounters. They classified their encounters as communication with the spirit realm and interaction with a more powerful force than humans, often serving as a means of delivering important messages to humanity. From my perspective, ancient wisdom suggests the existence of two distinct entities. The first aims to keep humans bounded to the materialistic realm, veiled in ignorance and unaware of their capacity for transcendence. On the flip side, there are the forces of light that hold the wisdom for transcendence and enlightenment, but their involvement, at least for now, is not substantial, or the time may not be ripe yet. The entities that aim to keep us in the dark, as I explained in my previous video, might be referred to as the Demiurge and the Archons. Their sole goal is to keep us spiritually deprived and unaware of the existence of the spirit within every human. One way they can achieve this is by feeding us with technology and materialistic gains. As mentioned in my previous video, they might have some kind of a deal with the prince and princesses of this world. One of the reasons why I believe this is true involves the prohibition of the methods of communication with higher forces, the burning and plundering of the ancient libraries, all while preserving the knowledge within the private libraries of the powerful families. An example is the text and books on divination and communication with angels and demons found in the papal library of the Medici family. During the times when Christianity forbade necromancy and the use of sigils for summoning powerful spirits, prosecuted practitioners and burned books, they were nevertheless retaining this occult knowledge in their private libraries. I guess it's magical books with interdimensional spirits for me, but not for thee. Does this create the gap between the ordinary man and the elite? These interdimensional forces, if used right, can give you unimaginable materialistic gain, but is that worth it? Is it worth being spiritually deprived? These are some of the proposed symbols that were recreated from the memory of Loni Zamora in the Socorro incident. The story goes that Hynek decided to change the symbol to see if some hoaxer would appear, but in my opinion this is a deception. Hynek was a Rosicrucian who had profound knowledge in the occult and alchemy. He immediately recognized the sigil. The real symbol on the UFO in the Socorro incident, in my opinion, was the symbol that could be found in the ancient magical and necromancy text found in the Medici Papal Library. Is the spirit of Billet or Bennett. According to some writings from the 15th century, the son of Noah, Ham, was the first to invoke him after the flood and wrote a book on mathematics with his help, so he has a profound knowledge in mathematics. The breakaway civilizations, the elite, are using these forces to gain knowledge, materialistic gain, and rule over the rest of us. What the evil spirits get in return is that we could never rise to our true selves and escape from the illusion. The Medici family was one that influenced the Renaissance the most after the Dark Ages. They were the richest banking family that collected the lost knowledge from the fallen ancient civilizations, which was mostly preserved in the ancient temples. Cosimo de' Medici harnessed their financial power to establish a political dynasty and is often regarded as one of the most significant patrons of the arts in history. In the realm of the arts, Cosimo oversaw what is considered the golden era of the Italian Renaissance, commissioning artworks from renowned contemporary masters like Raphael, Fra Angelico, Fra Filippo Lippi, Filippo Brunelleschi, and Donatello. And lo and behold, during their time a commission was ordered, and a legend was born in which Saint George killed the dragon. The serpent was slain and associated with the devil. The inner dormant energy became hidden knowledge for the chosen ones. The painting was created in 1506 by Raphael in Florence, the city where the Medici family held the greatest political influence. Catherine de' Medici became the Queen of France, and she was known as the Serpent Queen. There are many reasons for that. At one time the Medici family had these two serpents on their banner. They were later removed, but look at their connection with the Mesoamerican serpent. The American continent was not discovered at that time, or so the official history tells us. This is a painting of Queen Elizabeth I holding flowers, but what was discovered is that the flowers were repainted over the serpent. Queen Elizabeth was holding a serpent, the symbol of wisdom and attaining enlightenment. However, as that became forbidden knowledge, they repainted the symbol because the serpent was slain. It should represent the devil and be rejected and feared by the masses. And that's how the true knowledge became associated with the devil and the world entered into a spiritual blindness. John Dee was the main counselor of Queen Elizabeth, and just like the Medici family's library, Dee possessed one of the biggest libraries in the world at that time, containing occult and mystical texts from the ancient civilizations. He truly held a hidden knowledge that assisted the Crown of England. John Dee created the Enochian magical language after contacting higher spirits, which he referred to as angels, with the help of the ancient knowledge. This language, along with rituals, was later used by Jack Parsons, considered one of the fathers of modern rocketry, to invoke the Queen of Babylon in a series of rituals known as the Babylon Working in 1946. Many consider these rituals as the beginning of the UFO flap, starting with the Roswell incident. Some speculate that Jack Parsons opened a portal to another dimension. I don't think that's the case. The portal was and is always open for them, and we are the ones who are spiritually blinded and swayed away from the true reality. Ancient Arabia, from which the stories of the genie in the lamp originate, the Levant, Mesopotamia, Sumer, Egypt, ancient India and the Indus Valley, the Mesoamerican and Native American shamans hold the key to the UAP phenomenon. I have already mentioned the legends about King Solomon, his magic, and the sigils that were used to trap interdimensional spirits and seal them into vessels to use them to defeat his enemies or acquire profound knowledge. His famous seals might have been seen on the object in the Rendlesham Forest incident. The military witnesses, some of which had radiation injuries, thought that the UAP was from time-traveling humans. But what if it's what kind of powerful interdimensional force was trapped in the Ark of the Covenant? A force that could cause great disasters, diseases and radiation burns. This is an interesting connection. Solomon worshipped before the ark after his dream in which God promised him wisdom.
Then Solomon awoke, and indeed it had been a dream. He went to Jerusalem, stood before the ark of the Lord's covenant, and sacrificed burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. Then he gave a feast for all his court.
Did the wisdom that Solomon received include knowledge on how to seal powerful spirits and entities to help his people? King Solomon made a special chamber in his temple to house the Ark of the Covenant. Today, the books that constitute the Lesser Key of Solomon, written in the 17th century based on older texts, are explaining how to seal powerful entities and summon spirits that can fulfill your desires. A leaked MJ12 document was recently linked to one of the leakers of the JFK files. This connection, in my opinion, lends legitimacy to the document, and what is described inside further corroborates the spiritual theory. However, it seems that the insiders may not be fully aware of what is happening because of their biases and because the phenomenon is deceptive and it plays with your emotions. The phenomenon is spiritual, and that's why the UFO study group was called Majestic 12 and later Project Jehovah. However, reading the Bible will not help as suggested in this MJ12 leaked document, because key texts are not included in the Bible. The key texts where a lot of connection can be found include those from ancient Egyptian, Indian, Sumerian, Greek, Celtic and Mesoamerican religions, as well as the Gnostic texts, Hermetic texts and the Kabbalah. Every religion is connected to the ultimate truth. The document even states that remote viewing is not advisable because emis can influence the outcome. If we read between the lines and the deception within the highest places, in my opinion, you can find the spiritual disclosure here, albeit covered with a lot of unintentional deception. The leaked MJ12 document speculates that a book discovered in New Mexico predicts a global enemy invasion by 2030, aligning with the lunar calendar. This is noteworthy as the ancient world relied on the lunar calendar. It's interesting that this is compared with environmental change, and in my opinion, it might be related to climate change and the apocalypse as described in the multiple ancient religions. However, in the document, these entities are portrayed as malevolent, while in the religious narratives, the apocalypse often symbolizes the triumph of righteous forces, putting an end to the corrupt world. Here lies the deception. In my opinion, the malevolent entities are the ones who aim to keep us spiritually blinded and unaware of the spiritual realm. They are the ones that feed us with technology, and to us they are the good ones. And those that want to destroy the materialistic illusion are the righteous forces, the light beings, the enlightened ones who seek a higher purpose, and to us they're supposed to be the bad ones. We've aligned with the enemy because we've been spiritually deprived and don't know about the true reality. It's like a trapped bird that never knew of the wilderness and its true habitat, similar to an institutionalized prisoner who prefers staying in prison because the open world is not a place where he can function. This document is like a jigsaw puzzle that needs to be put into the correct order. They are confusing the phenomenon without realizing that there are two sides. You need to separate the two sides and assign the descriptions properly. Furthermore, I don't anticipate this to happen in a single day or by the year 2030. Instead, I view it as the long cyclical event involving the pole shifts, a decline in Earth's magnetic field and changes in solar activity. This process has already started and, in my opinion, will gradually intensify. The mainstream call this human-driven climate change, but I believe it's propelled by the righteous forces who represent the natural balance. Here's a study suggesting that evolution is influenced by catastrophic events and mass extinctions. These events will cause your inner energy to rise, so you will either embrace it or, because people are spiritually deprived, they'll think that they are losing their minds. You should watch my video about this energy and the upcoming events. Another document that aids to this theory is the leaked Russian document describing the two types of entities. They came to the conclusion that there are two groups of UAPs and occupants. The first one is technological and the second is plasmoid-like body of light that radiates with energy. Now guess which group wants to keep you spiritually deprived and in the materialistic illusion, and which group is the enlightened and wants you to join and ascend, and guess which one we've sided with. One group is feeding us with technology and wants to recreate the spirit which they lack if we read the Gnostic texts. And in some religious literature you might find them under the term the fallen angels. But where did they fall? They fell into the lowest materialistic realm known as Malkut in the Kabbalah or Muladhara chakra in the Tantric teachings, and that is our physical universe made from gross matter. So now do you understand what technology is doing to us? If the ancient teachings tell you that our spiritual energy lies dormant in the Muladhara chakra and you need to raise it in the higher chakras to achieve enlightenment, the majority thinks this is nonsense. So I guess that tells us by which side we are controlled. One of the oldest Tibetan teachings is achieving the rainbow body or the body made out of light, and that can be achieved only by raising your spiritual force. The monks live in the mountains as far away as they can from modern technology. Another aspect that supports this theory is the slideshow presented by Colonel Carnell at the Soul Foundation conference. He is another UAP whistleblower who oversaw the work of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Take a look at these possibilities that can explain the UAP phenomenon. We can categorize all of this under one category, including the occult, religions, and ultimate reality. This theory is ancient, and we have evidence throughout our entire history. Therefore, in my opinion, if anything might be considered a distraction, it will be the ET hypothesis. Of course, this will be ignored as nonsense by the majority, even in the UFO community, but one needs to delve deep into the occult wisdom and ancient knowledge to see the true reality. Maybe if there's interest, in my next video I can explain my perspective on modern technology and what it's doing to our bodies, as well as how it helps to keep us spiritually deprived. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel so my videos can reach a larger audience. Also, if you can, please consider supporting me on Patreon or with one-time donations on Buy Me a Coffee, because your support is the only way for this channel to survive. Thanks.